In late 2023, we travelled from South Australia to Europe. We spent September touring the southwest of England in a rental car, staying in 4 Airbnb properties in 4 different counties, namely the Cotswolds, Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. At the end of that time, we returned our rental car and caught a train into London, where we would spend 5 nights at another Airbnb property at King's Cross. From there, we planned to catch a fast train across under the English Channel to Amsterdam, to realise a bucket list item of mine, namely a European river cruise. But before we left London, friends from Sweden had kindly offered to fly to us for a long weekend to spend some quality time seeing the sights with us. We had dinner with them in a noisy pub on the Friday evening, but by the next day I was suffering with some sort of virus and couldn't leave the apartment. That didn't stop the rest of them from going out and having a good time without me.
I'm going to be your guide together. We're going to tour the tower. I'm going to point out some historical buildings. I'm going to take a little bit more of a history, okay? So let me tell you about murder. The heads chopped off. A bit of blood, a bit of gore. You up for it? Well, you've all been warned, all right?
They even took in a West End show that evening without me. The next morning I managed to emerge into the sunlight and join them for another full-on day of sightseeing. On the Monday, after our friends had returned home to Sweden, we continued sightseeing by ourselves, mostly centred upon St Paul's Cathedral. One of us climbed up there, and it wasn't me. Our impetus for catching a train to Amsterdam rather than flying was not, in fact, to go greener. I'd simply wanted to experience high-speed train travel in Europe, and, in particular, train travel under the English Channel through the Eurotunnel. The trains to Amsterdam leave from St Pancras International Station, conveniently just around the corner from our accommodation. Just like the flying experience, we still needed to be there well in advance of the departure time. We still had to queue and then stand around waiting for the gate to open, and we were still herded in like cattle. But once settled in our comparatively roomy seats, the experience was much more pleasant, and the passage through the tunnel unremarkable. Four hours later, we arrived in Amsterdam, full of excitement and anticipation. From the central railway station, we were even able to walk to our quaint canal-side hotel, carefully dodging the kamikaze cyclists that we would learn to respect in coming days. We had 3 nights to spend in Amsterdam before embarking on our river cruise. We really enjoyed the vibrant character of Amsterdam. I certainly didn't plan it that way, but it turned out that our hotel was in the so-called red light district, though we saw no evidence of lewd behaviour during our time there, or anywhere in Amsterdam for that matter. Or maybe we just didn't go to the right places. Out on the streets, however, there was an almost constant whiff of something earthy, herbal and woody in the air. And it wasn't tulips. That first evening we had a very pleasant dinner at an Italian restaurant we found in an alley behind the hotel, in the so-called red wine district. The next day we took the obligatory canal cruise, starting in the harbour outside Central Station.
This boat was not a boat, but actually a real skipper. She probably will make a lot of money because she's very, very, very heavy on the backside. hardly moves.
The following day, to make the most of the short time we had in Amsterdam, we chose to do one of the free walking tours available to visitors. Whilst the tours are advertised as free, it's almost obligatory to give the guide a generous tip if satisfied with the experience. As it turned out, the guide was very good, and we didn't begrudge him a pseudo payment. Even though my camera was discreet and not actually pointing at them, some of the locals were all too aware that there was a camera in the vicinity and that it was recording everything around it. And some weren't too pleased.
Because at the time, AIDS was still deadly. So they wanted to promote condom use, because at the time you could only get a condom behind the counter of your pharmacy. Your own pharmacy, with all your neighbors around you, had to ask the lady behind the counter, can I get a condom? And then the lady might ask, sure, what size? And you say small. Do you still have small? That's what you want, right? You want to know how to be open. In Amsterdam, everything is very much in your face. I mean, the coffee shop, the red light, the grocery shop, the boards, the thing.
At many points on the walk, we came across these grim reminders set into the pavement outside the former homes of those that became casualties of World War II. If we hadn't gone on a walking tour, we wouldn't have found this place. About 8 months before we were there, Amsterdam opened 2 new bike parking facilities.
How you doing? So guys, this is the only one in the world underwater. The water is right above us. Great water management, already told you. 7,000.
One was built under the harbour in front of Central Station with a capacity for 6,300 personal bikes plus 700 rideshare bikes.
19 million a year, right? So you need more space on the street.
A second facility was built beneath the river behind Central Station for an additional 4,000 bikes.
So they take down here or up here,
The new facilities replaced the need for this, thereby freeing up vast street-level spaces around the station. Later that day, we set out on our own reconnaissance, with the aim of visiting a place where one of us had performed many decades before, back when she was touring Europe with the Australian Youth Orchestra. On our way there, we passed through the Rijksmuseum portico, where a talented group was entertaining the assembled tourists. This was our destination, the Concertgebouw, apparently one of the best concert halls in the world, known for its exceptional acoustics. The likes of Gustav Mahler conducted his own compositions here, as did Richard Strauss and Igor Stravinsky, and Sergei Rachmaninoff played his own piano concerts here as well. Everywhere on our walks we came across these intriguing little microcars, perfectly suited to these narrow city streets with their limited parking space. And charging infrastructure for these and other electric cars is readily available.